Hi, everybody. This might look a little different to you, but we're continuing the show. We're having a little fun. I'm AJ Capola. You kind of can tell with the wrestling with the nerds hoodie on. And Ryan, I have to make sure you're aware of this. This is the All Star Sports Report podcast, not the Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast or the Wrestling with Nerds podcast. Today we are talking about all things sports, starting with the NFL, then the MLB, NHL, NBA, college men's and women's basketball, and then we're also going with NASCAR to finish it out. How you doing,
Yeah,
Ryan?
AJ, thanks for having me. I believe this makes it official that I'm the first guy on all of your platforms.
Well, technically I am.
You don't count, you're the boss.
Um, but how you doing, pal? A lot has been going on in the sports world this last week, and a lot happened last night with the hockey trades, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's that kind of the lull period here where we get this 2 weeks with no football or a week with no football, and then NASCAR is taking off. NHL's in the middle of their season. Baseball is starting to ramp up. Spring training's right around the corner. College football just ended, which is funny to say at the end of January, and when normally it's the beginning of January. We're like, college football is over with, but a lot of things going on.
And a lot of exciting things going on, Ryan. Um, but let's start it out with the NFL. Last week we had the conference championship games, and I know you have a lot to say when it comes to one of those games.
Yeah, for the first time in my lifetime that I can remember, I got to root on my team in the NFC Championship game against those diabolical Philadelphia Eagles. Sorry. Um, it was a lot of fun. It was nerve wracking. I think if you could have done a radioactive sitting here listening to me watch the game, you would have laughed and posted it, and it would have got thousands and thousands of views. Um, Tough loss, but I mean, we're in the NFC Championship game when nobody else expected us to. There's 91 million dollars in cap space going into the offseason. I'm looking forward to Adam Peters playing with his money, making some trades, bringing in some talent that we much deserve and need. And I think we'll be back. I think we'll be back for a long time coming. We're back to that nostalgic Washington football team.
I mean, just looking at the game because I have it right in front of me. The Eagles, unfortunately for you, 55-23 against the Commanders. Jaden Daniels didn't have a bad game, but he missed a lot of passes. He went 29 for 48. He did throw for 255, but I think that interception leading to a Philadelphia score kind of hurt him. While Jalen Hurts was 20 for 28, 246, at an average just under 10 with the touchdown. Um,
Yeah,
so,
and the biggest thing to take away from this is turnovers. Turnovers is what killed us. I think we had 4 or 5. We played them earlier this season and had 5 turnovers, but Hurts was injured and we were able to get the comeback win there. But here, you can't turn the ball over 4 times in the NFC Championship game and expect to win. Um, a lot of Jaden played very very well. Um, a lot of his passes were not so much his fault they were incomplete. They were there to the receiver, and the receiver dropped them. Running backs need to learn to carry the football. The Eagles are a very very good team. They're very very good. I'll give them that. The fans not so much to a point. I mean, we've seen the videos going around of slapping hats off of people's heads just because they're walking out of the stadium.
yeah,
But that's nature of Philadelphia. Um, I don't think we can, we remiss to say thoughts and prayers with everybody in Philadelphia. with the plane crash that occurred last night. But that being said, I Philadelphia's a really, really put together football team
Yeah,
when
they're
they're
going to be
organized.
dangerous. And I think it's a really good matchup when we get to the Super Bowl. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, but let's go to the AFC championship game. Josh Allen, 23 for 34 for 237, about 7 yards per completion, two touchdowns. He had a rating of 104.7. And then the other side, um, King Patrick Mahomes, 118 118 18 for 26 for 245. Now that was a 9.4 average per completion, one touchdown and a 111.9. Now, Ryan, I got to throw this out. Is this more of a it's bad luck for Buffalo because that was the pick they traded to Kansas City that Kansas City used to draft Patrick Mahomes, and now they're paying for it?
I mean, you can look at it that way, but that's like the 7 or 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon type stuff when it comes to that kind of deal. I I I mean, players have left Buffalo, players have came into Buffalo, and they were able to get right back to the AFC Championship game. Um, I I I don't know what I don't know what the play calling was there on that last drive. It didn't make any sense to me and felt out of rhythm. And then once they got to third and long, it was really out of rhythm.
Yeah,
Um, and then I mean, if it's and then on that fourth down play, if it's anybody but the Bills, the tight end catches the ball and they move on down the field. I feel like I really enjoy watching the Buffalo Bills play. They're a fun team. Their crowd is amazing. But this could be a setup. This could be all a setup for next year. I believe they move into their new stadium next year. Um, it's either this year, next year, or the year after.
I
Is it
think it's
taking
the
two
year
years?
after.
Is it 2027?
I think
Okay,
so.
maybe that's what they're waiting on. I don't know, but it to break through the glass ceiling that Buffalo is trying to do. Uh, it's a tall task, and they're chipping away at it and chipping away at it, and finally they're gonna break through. Um, and they'll get through that Patrick Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs ceiling.
It and just looking at Josh Allen had two touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes had zero. Neither of them had interceptions. But the other touchdowns come from the running backs. Uh, James Cook with two. You have Kareem Hunt with one, and then you have the two rushing touchdowns from Patrick Mahomes. So I think with how good the defense is for Philadelphia and how good the offense is for Kansas City, that's going to be fun. It's going to be weird if they get Grisham back for the defense, for Philadelphia's defense, because he was able to start practicing yesterday. So, are they going to expedite him coming back to make it to the Super Bowl? And there's been a lot of talk from people that this might be Grisham's last year. So I'm curious to see where they're going to go with that, Ryan. To see if he comes back from like like one more stand kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I wholeheartedly see this playing out, and I feel like Andy Reid would be much better at um not letting it happen entire. And you meant, I'm sorry, you puzzled me by saying Grisham. You meant Brendan Graham,
Oh, Graham, is it
the
Brendan Graham?
defensive end. Yeah. Um, I don't think Andy Reid will let it happen again, but I see this game possibly playing out a lot like Kansas City and San Francisco from a couple years ago, but just with a better defense. I believe that the Eagles' defense right now is better than that Niners' defense was, which was stout. I unfortunately for me, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl.
I think they're more of a well-rounded team. When you look to the Kansas City Chiefs, every game they've played has been a high-scoring game on both sides. It feels like their defense doesn't really stop offenses, and
I
especially high-powered offenses like they just played with the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Kansas City. I think it's going to be a close game. Don't get me wrong. But I think when it comes down to is that those outside receivers that the Eagles have are gonna create mismatchups for Kansas City, and I don't think Saquon's gonna have a monster day. I could be wrong, but I don't think he'll have a monster day running the ball because I think Kansas City is a really good team at stopping the run. But I think the outside receivers with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown are gonna be a mismatch for Kansas City, and then nobody can beat the tush push. They could run that play every play, and they're gonna march right down the field.
I know a lot of people were saying how not excited they were for the game. The way it's turning into this kind of chess match before the game even started is making me a little more intrigued on how it's going to play out next Sunday.
I'm 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 numb to the fact of every Super Bowl is not a Super Bowl I want to see just because my team's not in it. I don't have the fortune of going to 13 championship games or Super Bowls like you do. So
Yeah,
every year it's
it's
just like
okay. It's about to
it's
stop.
it's the Super Bowl and it's always about the commercials, but the commercials even are pretty bad now.
Yeah, they're not as great as they used to be. All right, Ryan, any last thoughts on the NFL Super Bowl and how that's going
Just
to
to
go
throw it out
down?
there that I know from today, I heard the rumors for the Redskins. Well, sorry, Commanders. Sorry. Uh, they're gonna revamp their uniforms for next season. It sounds like they're gonna go back to kind of a homage to Joe Gibbs and the Hogs from the '80s. Eliminating some of the black trim and adding some white trim, and then the white uniforms are finally gonna have some yellow in them or gold. That was the one thing that fans hated when they revealed the new uniforms is there wasn't enough gold in the away uniforms. And then also the other rumor to that is that the gold face paint, the yellow face mask, will be making its return to their helmets, which is the piece that I am missing off of it. I love the burgundy helmet with the gold face mask. That was one of my favorite things about the Commanders' former logos stuff was the gold face mask. So I'm really hoping that makes a comeback. Other than that, I think the Pro Bowl stuff is this week.
It is.
It
It's
started Thursday. I kind of like what they do now with the skills matchups and then just a fun flag football game. That's what it should be. There's no need to be on pads and pounding the hell out of each other. I actually always look forward to the years prior for the Pro Bowl, the skills challenges. I think they're fun, especially when the linemen are doing like the bench press drills and all that stuff. They used to do that stuff all the time and then have the game. I always enjoyed watching that stuff more than I watching the game. I like seeing the athletes be able to just be singled out and showing their feats of strength or their ability to throw the ball and all that kind of stuff. So I'll probably check that stuff out.
Yeah, it's going on. It's been going on since Thursday. Um, but Ryan, back to the Super Bowl. Who do you got winning? What do you have as the final score?
I have the Eagles winning, final score 38-31.
I have the Eagles winning. Unfortunately, hate to say this, I really do. I honestly dislike both
Well,
teams, even though I
it
feel
was
like it's going to
funny.
be a good
It,
game.
it it was funny earlier in the week. I got friends texting me, messaging me like, "Who's gonna win the Super Bowl?" And I'm like, "Meteor for the win."
Can't make that joke anymore. Can't make that joke anymore.
Probably can't not no. Probably bad taste, bad Ryan. But still, but I think the Eagles are gonna win the game. It's gonna be a touchdown score. It's gonna be a 7 point spread.
I I don't know. I don't. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are 1.5 favorites, a point and a half favorites. as of right now. But I'm taking the Eagles 31 to 21.
10 point. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. It's gonna be a fun game to watch. It's gonna be agonizing to watch, but it's gonna be a fun game to watch.
It's gonna be a great time when you're every time they show Tay Tay, take a drink. We'll be gone by the first
The
quarter.
only part, the only part of that that's gonna be funny is I don't know. Do you pay attention to the? I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a little tangent. I'll hurry back up. But the Kelseys, Jason and Kylie, they have Jason
No.
has that night. Okay, well, Kylie is his wife, and she is a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. She was born and raised Philadelphia Eagles fan. Her brother-in-law is Travis Kelsey on the Chiefs. Well, she talked about on our podcast that the kids, her girls, are wearing shirts that say "Go Uncle Travie" because that's their thing. And everybody in the comments were like, "That's fine. Just make the shirts Eagle Kelly green with silver writing on them." So I'm waiting to see in the background of the suite Taylor's sitting up front, and behind her, you see like their kids and Kylie sitting behind her wearing Eagles green. I'm gonna find it hilarious.
All right, Ryan. Well, we're moving from the NFL to the NHL.
Boy, I can feel you. I feel the excitement in your voice on that one.
I don't know if it's really excitement. Do you have any news down in your area about the Capitals? I know you are a humongous Washington Capitals fan. Um, but right now they're holding the number one spot in the league. They are really good right now.
Yeah, and it was fun. Finally, nice to get Ovi back. That was a nice touch. I think he's. I haven't checked the last couple of nights. I think he's within 20 of Gretzky. So,
Well, let's see the Ovechkin goal tracker as of the 30th. Um,
oh, 19 goals. Sorry, 2 days ago he did. I missed over a couple of days from work. But yeah, he's now 19 goals within Gretzky's record. Um, I'm just thrilled with that. I to put Ovechkin next to Gretzky is going to be fun for me.
do
Um,
you think Gretzky, when it's realistically in range, do you think we see Wayne at some of those games?
Possibly. I mean, it's kind of like the unwritten rule of if you're alive and your record is going to get broke and you're okay with it. A lot of it seems like these days in sports, there's the older guys with older records don't like them being broke, but they didn't have a problem breaking the records when they
Yeah.
did it. It's kind of like, all
I don't
right, that's
I don't see anything wrong with it. You did a great thing. He's held that record for 20 years plus. When did he
you said,
retire? 97?
yeah, 97, 98, somewhere around the year. But I mean, it's gonna be fun for people around here. The, they're more excited about the Capitals and the Commanders than any other sporting teams in the area. So I would expect it. I would expect they're going to invite the Capitals will formally invite Wayne to like the if he gets him within 3 goals,
Yeah. They'll probably
they'll
have him
pure
up in a suite.
yeah they'll invite him. Not every game. They won't do like the whole Mark McGuire Roger Maris thing where Maris's family had to follow McGuire around. But I would imagine if it's convenient for Gretzky, they will send him an invite to come to the game and watch. Um, I don't, I don't know what Gretzky's. I don't know if has anybody ever asked Gretzky what his thought is about this record getting
And
broke.
not that I know of, not that I've heard, and I've been doing a lot of deep diving into sports stuff in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, he's got plenty of records. What's one to give up? So we'll see. But that's all I got here. I don't think we didn't make any moves at the deadline, but we didn't have to. Um,
Oh, I have plenty of moves to
I
talk about here.
I was gonna say, how about your Rangers?
Oh, hold on. Before we get to the trades, we haven't really talked, or at least I haven't heard of talk on the show previously with Gary, Mike, and crew. What are your thoughts on them changing the All Star game to where
You're gonna
it's
have
not
to.
East, West, Metro, Atlantic, Pacific, and Central? It's Team USA versus Team Canada, uh, versus Team Finland and Team Sweden.
I, I mean, I kind of like the divisions
Yeah, where they play
matchups.
3-on-3 and it's kind of like a round
Yeah,
robin kind of
it's
thing.
just All-Star games and Pro Bowl games in general anymore are a thing of the past, in my opinion. If you just, I don't need to see, like we just talked about the Pro Bowl. I don't need to see the Pro Bowl game, but give me the skills
I
competitions.
love watching the skills come, and
The
it's so much
NH,
fun. It's like watching the home run derby in baseball.
yeah, like if you think about it, think of the big four. Think of NFL, NHL, basketball, and baseball. And ask me what's your favorite things to watch for All Star Weekend. It's for baseball, it's the home run derby and the celebrity softball game. For NHL, it's the when they're breaking the disc in the goals and the puck handling competitions and stuff.
I also like the speed skate.
Well, that's always amazing to see that people can fly that fast on ice when they're not that kind of thing. The NFL Pro Bowl, it's the skills competitions anymore that are the fun things. And for basketball, it's the 3-point shootout, the 3-point contest, and the slam dunk contest get more eyes on them than the All Star game because nobody cares about the All Star game. But the 3-point, if I'm like playing video games, if I'm playing the NBA game, I only when I get to the All Star break, the only thing I'm playing is the 3-point competition. Because to me, that's the coolest thing ever. Now they did used to do like the skills challenge things for the NBA too. That was fun. But just give me a weekend of skills challenges among like the top 20 in each league. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That would be fun for me. And then just give them they get a bonus or donate money to charity or whatever. I don't need to see a hockey game or a basketball game or a football game during All Star weekend. These guys want the guys want rest during the All Star weekend, so don't make them play a game. And you're more likely to get the bigger names to show up to do the skills challenges, knowing that I don't have to play an All Star game.
yeah.
That way,
Well,
you get your big names at your All Star events.
well, some news out of the Seattle Kraken camp. Yanni Gord, their center, is going to be out 5 to 7 weeks after getting a sports hernia surgery. Hopefully that goes out and through pretty fast. The NHL deadline is March 7th, so if they need a center and they think that Yanni's going to be out a little bit longer, they can go get one. I know there's not as big of a market anymore now that two centers have been traded, and let's really quick talk about that because one of them has to do with my favorite team. So as you guys know, I'm a New York Rangers fan, and the New York Rangers are sending Filipino and Victor Mancini. Filipino is a center, Victor Mancini is a defenseman, and a conditional 2025 first round pick. Which, if the Rangers make the playoffs, it turns into a 2026 pick. But if they don't, it continues to be a 2025 pick. I could have that backwards, but I'm pretty sure I'm spot on with that. But they're getting JT Miller, a center, coming back to the New York Rangers. Eric Brandstorm and defenseman, or the rights to sign the defenseman Jackson Dorrington. Um, they have to sign him by August. He's currently playing, I think, in college hockey. So those were a big move last night while I was at dinner. And then the Vancouver Canucks stay busy, where they issue a trade um, with Pittsburgh, sending Vincent uh, Desarius, forward Dayton Henning, and forward Melvin Brenstrom. and a conditional first round pick. I love hockey. I love it so much. But there are some wild names in hockey. Not like baseball or football. I think the weirdest football name is you have Puka Nakua.
Hmm. No,
Uh,
that one guy that plays for the Texans, his last name is literally like T-O apostrophe T-O-A. Don't ask me how to pronounce it because I can't.
but they are getting defenseman Marcus Peterson. This is what Vancouver's giving, and forward Drew O'Connor. And Ryan, it's kind of wild. The Stalls did this years ago, but the Petersons are in Vancouver. You have Elias, and Marcus, all three of them.
I'm gonna say only they're not related.
I think only two of them are.
I mean, what family names their kids the same name?
One that wants to keep track of
Um,
who they are.
I,
Uh,
I'll be honest with you, AJ. I mean, I've watched the Caps, but other than that, I'm in the dark on most stuff here looking. Um, and I'll do better at that later on. But you guys have been moving a lot of players, and you're only five,
5 points out.
five
Yeah,
points out of the wild card. Is this a build to get that, like, to make a playoff run, or
I think it is. We have so much cap room. We have the most cap room at the Rangers do, so they can make some of these. But I like Filipino and I like Victor Mancini. Victor is going to be a really good defenseman when he finally matures into. I think he's like 20, and then Filipino I think is like 26. So they're still young while we're getting a 31-year-old. I like JT Miller, but he's a disruptor. He doesn't always get along with people in the locker room. We kind of ousted him to Tampa Bay 5 or 6 years ago, where he was having the best years of his career. When he was with the Rangers, he was a 30 to 50 point player a year. He goes to Tampa Bay and Vancouver, and he turns into a 100 point player, which was wild. But this year he's relatively non-existent. So we're hoping a change of scenery as a Rangers fan improves how he's been playing. He's only got 20 points on the season. Um, so yikes. But I'm gonna miss Filipino and I'm gonna miss Victor Mancini, but we're trying. Or they're trying.
sounds like people tend to leave on trades and end up working their way back to New York.
Yeah, that's happened a couple times.
And God forbid you guys do make the wild card spots, and then we have a Caps Rangers first round matchup
Again.
again.
Hey Ryan, how did those normally go?
Shut up. That one time though, no. uh,
All right, Ryan. Heading off to a sport you and I both very much love, the MLB, Major League Baseball. Ryan only cares when his team is good. Not one
not
of his.
true.
You like rubbing it in anytime the Yankees lose, anyway.
This is true.
But spring training's starting in a little bit, Ryan. We're looking
Yeah,
at just about 10 to 15 days for some clubs, and games start in about 3 weeks.
yeah. I mean, it's getting to that point. I enjoy when we get around the opening day. Normally because I also know that means it's WrestleMania season, but that's for another topic. Um, I don't. I'm looking forward to contending for the middle of the pack in the NL East or AL East. I mean, I think the
You
Yankees
did
and the
pick up a really good pitcher with Crochet.
I agree. Um, I'm still thinking we're gonna be third or fourth in that division.
I mean,
Uh,
Toronto just picked up another great pitcher who
Okay,
had
now
a
we're gonna be more of like fourth and fifth in that division. No,
well. Let's
I think the battle between the Blue Jays and the Red Sox for third in that division is gonna be fun to watch. And it could still be a wild card spot. You never know. I just think the Orioles and the Yankees are still the top of the AL East.
Yeah, I'm really curious on how it's going to go now that Santander is no longer an Oriole. Um,
I didn't understand. Didn't really understand why they didn't go try to re-sign him. From what I've heard, they didn't even try.
yeah,
Um,
a
they
5-year deal for 92.5 to outfielder Anthony Sandaire to Toronto, and Toronto just spent 15.5 on a 1-year deal for Matt Scherzer. We know how good Matt Scherzer can be.
Yeah, but is it that time? Is this that age gap, or age period time where Max Scherzer starts to fall off? Has to be the question. And I think that's why it was only a 1 year deal.
Oh yeah, and if it works out great, he's gonna go sign a another 1-year deal or a 2-year deal. He's 40.
Yeah, he's 40. So this is like, how much are we gonna get? Or could he end up being a John Smoltz and at 40 become a great closer?
That'd be
Could very
cool.
possibly well be if he doesn't fit into the rotation.
Just looking
Um,
at Scherzer's stats from last year, in 9 starts he was 2-4 with a 3.95 ERA, and he made his first start June 23rd following surgery to repair a herniated disc in his back. So when it comes to injuries like that, I don't want to say he's going to be hindered the rest of his career. 3.9 ERA nowadays isn't horrible. It's not
no.
great either. You're looking for somebody a high 2 or a low 3. That's realistically how baseball has kind of adapted with scoring and how often we get scoring. Would you kind of agree with that, Ryan?
Yeah, it's no longer the dominating pitcher matchups that it used to be. From what I've noticed more and more, and I think it has a lot to do with that rush of the pitch count and all that stuff, which everybody has now gotten accustomed and used to, and all that kind of stuff. But you don't have those marquee ace versus ace matchups where you know it's going to be a 1-0 ball game and it's going to be a pitching duel. Now it's more like their aces are going to match up against each other, but it's probably going to be like a 6-3, 6-4 ball game, and they're going to let up a lot of earned runs.
Yeah.
It just seems to be the nature of the beast now with baseball.
And looking at their rotation right now, they have now it's Matt Scherzer, Kevin Guzman, Jose Brias, Chris Bassett, and Bowen Francis. So they have a really good 3 and okay 4 and 5. I'm really interested to see how the Rangers are going to do. I'm excited to see how my Yankees are going to do with Max Fried and Devin Williams now being basically our closer. Uh, Bellinger, hopefully he can kind of have a turn into what he was a couple years ago. Um, I honestly, and Ryan, you and I have talked about this many times, not obviously on a show. As much as it sucks not having Juan Soto on the team, I feel like we're a better team now than we would have just been with him.
Who?
Exactly.
I mean, he's going across the street there to get lost in the oblivious. That's what anybody does when they go to the other New York team.
I mean, you ain't wrong at
I ain't
all.
wrong.
And it sucks because I would have been okay with him back, but he's not worth that much money, and
I,
he's handicapped in the franchise.
we've had this discussion before. There's not a single soul worth that kind of money, and I think it's gonna bring a lot of. I hate to say it, but what the CBA or whatever it is for baseball is up in 2027.
Yeah,
I I don't see baseball happening at 2020 when that agreement's over with. I see a lot of turmoil trying to negotiate, and maybe we finally get a salary cap in baseball. I
wow,
mean,
that was fast. We just had another trade in the NHL. Ryan, sorry to cut you off. The Dallas Stars are receiving forward Mikael Granlund and defenseman Cody Ceci from the San Jose Sharks for a wow 25 2025 first round pick and a 2025 conditional third round pick. So the stars are getting better.
Well, since you went back to NHL, there was one thing on NHL that I wanted to touch on that I completely forgot about. Have you paid attention to the Utah Hockey Club team name thing that was going on?
No.
Apparently, they had a name picked, and due to copyright issues, they had to switch it.
What was the
Uh,
name?
they had pretty much locked in the Utah. Was it the Utah City or Utah Yeti? Was going to be the name? Well, apparently the cooler company has all the copyrights of the word Yeti or
Wow.
Yetis. So they tried to work with them to come up with a deal. And our good friend Brandon brought to light that the Yeti Corporation that makes the coolers sponsors a soccer team in Texas, I believe it is.
Okay.
So they didn't want any parts of this new franchise in the NHL. So now they're gonna do an in arena basically pick 'em. It was the Utah City or the Utah Hockey Club is one of the names. They've narrowed it down to three. It's the Utah Hockey Club, the Utah Mammoths, and the Utah. I'm gonna butcher this name, but it's a mountain range in Utah called Wachia. But it's basically a mountain range in Utah where the Yeti monster lives.
I feel like they have to go with Mammoth.
I feel like you gotta go with Mammoth only because I mean hockey club sounds cool too because I mean, we had the Washington football team and that kind of stuff and that kind of got over and it's kind of like a soccer team name, but you can't go with the other one because everybody that's not from that area, like myself, is just gonna butcher the name. So I feel like you gotta go Utah Mammoth. So in the last 3 years of hockey, we've gotten a Kraken and we're gonna get a Mammoth.
Go to last 6 years. Knights, Kraken, and now Mammoth.
Yeah, I mean, but anyhow, I forgot to touch base on that for the NHL stuff. I saw that earlier this week and got a kick out of it and thought it was pretty funny.
So shall we jump towards the NBA for a little bit?
I like the way you said jump into the NBA. Nice touch.
Hey, I gotta keep it fresh.
Okay. I'm gonna be brutally honest with you on this. You're gonna have to speed me up on NBA.
Uh,
I can't.
the
I just can't.
Cavaliers are killing it.
I
Best
have heard the Cavaliers are
best
very,
record
very
in the
good.
league. 39-9.
How are your Knicks?
They're third in the Eastern Conference with a 32-16 record. They are on a 5-game winning streak, and they are +7 in the points differential.
Nice. And as I'm looking through the standings, the fire show that is the Washington Wizards at the bottom of, at 6-41.
They're not going to break 10.
There's probably a very good chance at that. As you see, they're not on my list of fan favorites. Basketball for me, I kind of just watch it, glance at it. I don't have favorites.
I
If
got
you
my
ask me
next, and that's it. But
if you ask me my favorites, I say it's the '98 Bulls.
which I
There's
think you went back and played on the game.
yes, I've done it multiple times. It's kind of fun. At one point, I had Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan both on the Chicago Bulls.
You had Shaq too.
Yes,
You
I did.
drafted Shaq.
I do draft Shaq. Uh,
Uh,
I don't know. I will watch basketball occasionally. I like college more than NBA. I
well,
feel like the
we're getting
NBA
that
is
we're getting that next, but we
yeah.
do have
I
to
just
speed things up a little bit because I'm about to get company.
let's rock and roll then.
Before we leave the NBA, the New Orleans Pelicans Murray suffered a season-ending torn Achilles tendon. Seems
That
like
happens.
a lot in basketball,
That happens a lot in sports in general these days. It's happened way more recently than it's ever occurred.
and it just amplifies how difficult of a season the Pelicans are having. Zion Williamson is down, Brandon Ingram is down, and Herb Jones is also down.
Yeah, it's just it's a bad luck fall for the Achilles injuries are just insane.
So you want to start with men's basketball or women's basketball first?
Whatever speeds it up for you there, Leroy. You're the
All
one
right,
on a time crunch.
we'll jump to the women's real fast. Just kind of giving you guys a little bit of a how everything's looking. I'm trying to get the there it is. There's the ranking.
AP poll has it as Auburn is one.
That's the men.
Are we going to do men's or women?
Oh, it's okay. We can do men. Go men.
All right. So we got Auburn at 1, Duke at 2, Iowa State at 3, Alabama at 4, Florida at 5, Houston at 6, Michigan State at 7, Tennessee is number 8, Marquette is 9, Purdue 10, Kansas is 11, Kentucky 12, Texas A&M 13th, Mississippi State 14th, St. John's is up into the 15th spot, 5 spots up from the week prior. Oregon is 16, Wisconsin 17, Illinois. I know there's some Illinois people. They're at 18. Memphis is at 19, Missouri at 20, Louisville at 21, Texas Tech at 22, Ole Miss 23, Vanderbilt at 24, and UConn brings in the field at
Which,
25.
as a UConn fan, as you guys know, living up in the Northeast, they need to stop losing.
Weren't they like in the top 5 at one point?
Yes, yes.
Were they
And I
number 1?
no, I don't think they ever touched one. I think they
Okay.
touched four at one point this season. They need to stop. They are stressing me out, but I know at least with Auburn at number one, Joe is very, very, very happy.
Yeah, I mean he's got his 2 teams are in the top 25. Auburn at 1 and Illinois at 18. My team does not know what the top 25 is. They haven't seen the top 25 in years. So we don't talk about Georgetown at all.
I was about to say, are you gonna? Oh, it's been a long time since we've seen Georgetown was really good for like a 5 year stretch,
Yep, and
and
I
then it's
enjoyed
like
that 5 year
cliff.
stretch. Uh, but now it's yeah. They're I don't even know if the basketball team is still around. I think they're
It,
that bad that people
it's
don't show up.
still around. They're just
Uh,
meh, meh. But let's jump over to the women's rankings. Ryan, do you want to run through those?
sure can.
This has been fun. We don't normally get to
Uh,
talk sports a lot.
UCLA is at number 1. I think they had a. Did they just have a big matchup, or they have a big matchup this week coming up against Maryland? I believe. I think they may have already played.
Keep going, and I'll let you know.
UCLA at 1, South Carolina at 2, Notre Dame at 3, USC at 4, Texas at 5, UConn at 6.
They beat Maryland, who was ranked number 8, 82 to 67.
Yeah. LSU is at 7, Ohio State is 8, TCU is 9, Duke is 10, Kansas State is 11, Kentucky is number 12, Oklahoma is number 13, Maryland falls all the way to number 14 after that loss. North Carolina is at 15, Michigan State 16, NC State 17, Tennessee 18, California 19, Georgia Tech 20, West Virginia 21, Alabama 22, Vanderbilt 23, Oklahoma State 24, and Florida State rounds out the top 25.
And then dropping out of the rankings, Minnesota, who is at 23, Michigan at 24, and Baylor at 25. They are all out of this week's ranking. Your biggest up in This week's ranking is Ohio State for the women, whose record is sitting at 19-1. They jumped from 12th to 8th, along with Duke, who also was +4, from 14th to 10th, and they're 17-4. Your biggest downer was Maryland after losing to UCLA, down 6, so they went from 8 to 14, and then West Virginia was -5. They were 16 and dropped to 21. They're 16-4, as the year is inching ever so closer to March Madness, and that's really where I jump in and start watching basketball again with college basketball. Is when we hit March Madness, and you can just go day after day after day and just watch continuous uh, good games usually, and what underdog is going to upseed a high ranking team. But Ryan, how about this for a first episode? Huh? We just have a couple more NASCAR news, which it looks like at 1:45 on the Tubi Tubi NASCAR channel. You're actually going to be able to watch the modified race if you have it. Flo has kind of told them that yeah, we can simulcast the modified race, and we have Clash qualifying in the heats tonight.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Bowman Gray is gonna be fun to watch. Um, I'm looking forward to catching as much of it as I possibly can with other things going on tonight. Um, I It'll be interesting because I think people are thinking that we're gonna get like the normal things that happen at the Madhouse, and the Madhouse is gonna be pretty tame when it comes to the NASCAR side. I think you'll get the Madhouse stuff out of the modifieds and those type things, but who's to say?
I'm not really looking forward to the Clash. I'm just happy cars are going to be on track again. Um,
A lot of new or same faces and new places when it comes to NASCAR coming up this season with teams going away and people adding to teams, and I can't wait till we get to Daytona with all these extra open cars that are entering the field. Dale Jr. finally enters a NASCAR Cup race with his number 40 Traveler whiskey brand with Chris Stapleton is going to be one that everybody's going to be watching with Allgaier behind the wheel. And then you get Helio Castroneves driving the 90, it's the 91, right? Trackhouse car, I believe it is. Yeah.
yeah,
91, 97. What I think it's the Project 91 is what they call it. He's already locked in either way, but if he can lock in on speed, that gives a spot open for somebody else. So the Daytona 500 is going to be kind of fun to watch again, as far as the build up to the 500, not just the 500.
I'm curious to see what we're going to see now that Stuart Haas is gone and where some of those drivers landed. I know you're going to be watching Josh Berry quite a bit. I'm
Yeah,
curious
Josh
to see
Berry,
what Ryan Preece is going to do in a Roush
RFM.
Fenwick. Yeah.
Yeah, he's with RFM with Roush running the 60 car. And then Noah is with front row. He's going to be running the number 4 car. My wife is excited to be able to buy another Noah Grexon shirt with a different number on it.
Yeah, but what about Josh Berry? How do you think he's going to end up doing?
I I hope with the Wood brothers' relationship with Penske that with Josh in the car, it runs better than what it has been with Harrison Burton. I enjoy watching Josh race the short tracks. That's how I became a fan of his. Him in Junior's late model and stuff. I, if he can land a 20 up in the top 20 in points, I'll be happy
I mean,
as far as
I'm
the
the
whole
same way
season.
with Priest. I would go up to Stafford all the time, and him, Doug Kobe, would just kill it every week. Now you have, oh god, so many other drivers now. Salamito, Bonsignor. I would love to just talk about modified racing because for me that is the best racing NASCAR racing you get. But maybe somewhere down the line, Ryan. Thank you for jumping on and doing the All Star Sports report.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad to be here. Enjoy talking to you about random things.
Hopefully, we can continue doing this while Gary and Mike take their little break. I know they got a new iRacing season league starting soon, so they're kind of devoting towards that. But we're gonna try to keep up the ship. It might not be weekly, it might be bi-weekly, but we'll keep you guys informed on some of the biggest news. Just stay with All Star 15 TV. You guys take care, and we'll see you later.
Bye.